Hey, well, who is here? Shlomo Friedman is here. Manuela, Ash. Hi, Ash. Hi, Margaret. Manuela, Ash. Hi, Ash. Hi, Margaret. Hang on a minute, I have to shut down the feed from YouTube because it comes back delayed, I think. Just a minute. Okay, there we go. Now I know how long does it take between me talking and you hearing. It's about 2-3 seconds. You know, it takes 8 seconds for the light to come from the sun to Earth. So if the sun exploded, programmer forbid, we wouldn't know for 8 seconds. We would still be happy. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, I guess some. Upper Bavaria. Hi, Chris. Ed Clark, UK. Wow. Hey, Mark, you made it all the way from South Africa with a big heart. Nice. Oh, I can even post it here. So, first of all, I wanted you to see that I'm alive. I cannot kick because you wouldn't see. But yeah, I'm alive and kicking and everything is good. You know, it's probably mostly because of your wishes. You know, I always tell you that the general reality is a democracy, and the more people think something, the more that thought becomes a reality. So the more you think about me, the better I become. Yeah. All right, I'll give you updates, but not today. Today I wanted to do two things. I wanted to go back and do a question and answer about the infinity paradox, that video that I posted, or a few videos, because I think that it needs discussion for both for me and for you to develop the concept, because it has tremendous potential in it for our development, for our understanding of things that our mind or the subconscious, like I explained in my video yesterday, just cannot get wrapped around it because we are not open to it. So the more we discuss it, it's more like going in very small steps, like the salami concept, and we can discover much more about it. And the second thing, you know, what I introduced yesterday, I don't know if all of you watched it, but I was talking about the kind of a mind over matter. And just because I experienced that in the last few weeks substantially, I always experienced it, but the last few weeks I actually could see it working. And what it is, for the ones of you that didn't watch the video, is about the fact, at least from my subjective perspective, it's a fact that since we create our reality, our material reality, call it, right, through the particles, which I call them the brush that God uses to paint this reality, quantum physics. So if we create our physical reality, it means we also create our body, because it's part of our physical reality, right? So if we create our body, it kind of makes sense that we should be able to make changes to that. And we definitely make changes because, again, I think that every illness or everything that happens in our body, actually we do it. And when I say we, I mean our consciousness. You know, I had those drawings many times, but one good way, I don't have a picture of it here to show you, but one good way to explain it would be that imagine a wall, a solid wall that goes to infinity, and there is a round opening in it the size of your neck, precisely, like there is no gaps. And you are stuck in that wall, It's sitting on your neck. Your head is on that side of the wall, and your body is on the other side of the wall. So your head is in this reality, but your consciousness is behind that wall. And the wall prevents you from actually seeing. It's like the dog, when a dog starts to scratch itself, we put this funnel on the dog, right? So we have all this separation all the time. But the truth is that that part in the back is actually creating all the reality that you see in the front, including your body. So I wanted to see if you have any questions on those two topics. And while you are thinking, I wanted to talk about something totally different, just to give you something to think about, because otherwise if I go away and you have nothing to think about, then we weren't successful today. And I want to talk about progress. I will call it the progress paradox, just like the infinity paradox. And why it's a paradox is because, if you talk especially to older people, they all tell you, the great past and the great this, and it was so great, we used to sit around the table, there was no TV, there was no cell phone, we would have dinner and everybody would tell their stories and so on and so on and so on. And everybody is missing that, I guess the youngest generation doesn't know. Like if you ask somebody who is younger than maybe 20 or 30 and show them a rotary phone with a dial, I have one here at home on the wall. I bought a restored payphone, which actually works, but I don't have a line anymore. They wouldn't know how to dial on that thing, right? But my question is this. You all, doesn't matter what age you are, you watch movies, you watch TV, right? And you see, like for example, if you watch the Titanic, right? So you get the idea. You see that it took maybe a week or 10 days to sail from England to the United States, to the East Coast, right? And never mind that it sank. This is not the point. But the way they traveled, right? Even the ones that didn't have money to buy first-class ticket, but for them, the adventure of going through the ocean and being on this ship and this whole thing, eating on it and music and company, it's probably way, 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 way more than flying first class from London to LaGuardia or Kennedy, right? So we made progress, right? This Titanic was 1915, 20, whatever. I don't remember the exact date, but it was 100 years ago, I guess, 1920, yeah, roughly. And the question is, did we make progress by coming to this, to the jumbo jet, or did we actually regress? Did we go back as far as our satisfaction and our enjoyment of life? And you can take that on many, many other examples, right? I use the hi, Strawberry, hi, Tokyo, that's why I said somebody is still at night there. So you can take that on a car. Would you enjoy riding a horse or driving a Tesla? It's a subjective question, but I am sure that if you had a vote, worldwide vote, you wouldn't get like a majority for progress. So the question is, and the progress, don't forget, also brought us lots of suffering, lots of people are basically left behind. In my opinion, I have 3 sons, and I think that today, this time, is the toughest that ever was for kids that come out of school. They're totally lost. Everybody is the same. Everybody took the same education. And switch camera here. Oh, how about that? So it's in the past, I know when I came out of school, everybody kind of knew what they're gonna do. It was actually very exciting because there were so many choices, and there wasn't a feeling that we are going to get thrown out there, and now we have to fly even though we don't have wings yet, right? So the question is, if we did not want that particular reality today, how come we have it? If we create it, right? Like so it means we are in control. We create this reality, and then we create a reality that maybe the majority of us don't like. How does that happen? And I'll tell you my theory, and that's where I would like to get your feedback now or later in the comments. I don't know how many of you saw the video where I talk about the idea that reality is a democracy, which means that how the general reality is created in the world is actually determined by a very, very, very small minority of people, maybe 0.01%. You know, if you take the leaders of the different countries, you take innovators, Tesla or Elon Musk, they change the world, right? And then there is companies like Google, Apple, and so on that execute many of those innovations. And the reason it's not what we want is because this whole group, both the innovators, especially today, and the ones who execute it, they are out there for profit. They don't have anything else on their mind except profit, make money for the shareholders of the company, and this is what drives it. It's not whether we like the Titanic or we like the jumbo jet. That's not the point, right? I mean, even the people who invented the nuclear bomb are not happy about it, but they invented it and it got taken to use, right, to destroy the world, potentially. The thing is, what drives it in the bigger picture, and again, those are my theories, is that when this reality, this world was created, conflict was used as the engine of creativity by the programmer. Basically, conflict was instilled in this reality from day one. If you read the Bible, you read anything historically, you will see that it's all about conflict. Even the story of the Tower of Babel, right? Where, take it metaphorically, it doesn't matter, but it appears in the Torah, right? And it tells us there about these people that got united, they had no conflicts, and they wanted to find God and be like God, and God came down, right, and spread them and made them not understand each other. He made them speak all these different languages, right? And you can see that conflict was actually instilled from day one as the engine of creation. I mean, of creativity, not creation. To make us creative, conflict was brought here. Otherwise, we would just sit and enjoy every day. So conflict, and what drives the conflict, drives the conflict, the fundamental thing is our selfishness. And again, we were created that way. Everybody is selfish. Very few people are not selfish. Even people that help other people, and I do a lot of that, at the end of the day, it makes us feel good. So in a way, it's also selfish. So the whole thing is selfishness that drives, then conflict is using the selfishness, and this is why we are here today. Especially now with the situation, the global situation, you can see for yourself. And what I can tell you is that the engine of conflict that brought us here is being phased out. So the whole idea of conflict is being phased out. In the new reality we are going into, conflict is not going to be the engine of creativity anymore. It will be more the empowerment and the realization that we have the power to do much, much more united rather than conflicted. And because of that, also the selfishness part will at least part of it will be phased out because it's not needed anymore. It's not necessary anymore. So, this will basically change that curse into a blessing. So just stay tuned and see that reality coming, because it is coming, definitely. And it will come in a way that you never expected, as everything else happens. Reality has its own ways to bring change in a way that we can never predict. And that's why, like in Reality Transurfing and other books, it always says, don't plan for reality or for God how to improve your reality or change your reality or get this $1 million. Let it do it, because it will always do it in a way that you didn't expect. If you come up with a way, then it cannot do it anymore, because then it has to be your way. All right, so now I'll go to questions and comments here. Let's see. I guess I announced this video very late. I only posted that like an hour and a half before, so we don't have that many people here, but that's good. We still have my best friends are here, right? So let's see, what do we have? Go over everybody. Hello from Romania. Ce face? Face bine? So when I was a kid in Israel, my best friend was Romanian, so I always heard Romanians in their when I was going to their home. Ash, Margaret, Sonia, how is Toronto? Well, Mark, your picture here is a little bit different. I don't know. Look much younger. Bavaria in Germany. Chris, Ed. I am good, Manuela. You can see. I mean, that's why I wanted to do a live, so you can see me. And Eudaimonian. Hello, hello. My health is doing very well. And it will do it cannot do really that much better. Sabrina, how is Zurich today? Are you in Zurich? Agafia. Dennis, hi Dennis. Strawberry Lolly. Have had some great manifesting success over the past month. You see? That's good. Well, all they have to do is eat strawberries here, like in the picture, and that will work. Hello, Priyanshi. Yeah, it's funny. The same as my name, I guess it's hard to pronounce for some people. Can you please make a video just on manifesting things in reality? Well, you see, you just manifested me here on your screen. Hey, Sonke. Haven't heard from you. You got a little bit worried and scared there from my last what I said I'm going to do in the future. But this is in the future. They say that the Messiah will always come in the future. He will always come, but in the future. When did you start getting into reality transurfing? Who introduced you to this? Actually, a friend by the name of Michael, he lives here in Vancouver. He sent me a link one day. He said, you have to look at this book. It's actually very interesting. And that was back in 2016, I would think. Somewhere there. And I actually connected very well with it. I thought it represented an interesting angle on reality. Like I don't say it has everything in it, but it's a very interesting angle there. Okay, Ed, in the infinity paradox, what is the universe expanding into? Or is it that it is expanding at the speed of light, which means we can never find out what... Okay, so let me explain that. The universe is not expanding into anything. Because if it expanded into something, then we wouldn't need the universe. We could live in that something, right? Like what can it expand into? It doesn't really expand into anything. And the reason that I brought it up and I said that we can never see the edge of the universe because it expands, I didn't explain it, I'll explain it now. It expands faster than the speed of light. What I meant to say is that, you see, if you go, say, 1,000 years ago, the universe was only the size of the solar system and some stars. There was no universe because it's what was not necessary. We had no telescopes and we couldn't see very far. So the programmer did not require to post that universe. It was more like in the Truman Show, right? They didn't expand the universe very much. They had that maybe, I don't know, a few kilometers away from town, and they had this wall that looked like the horizon. But eventually, you know, he went there with a boat and he discovered that this is the end of that reality. So the same works for us, except here, the programmer would not let us hit the wall. So every time we advanced, the universe got bigger, just for us not to find that it's an illusion. And when I say it expands faster than the speed of light, it means that illusion, the expanding of what we see, not the real universe, okay, is going faster than the speed of light, so that we can never hit the wall just like Truman did, right? So this is the idea. The universe does not expand anything. This is actually the biggest nonsense of science, that it says, you know, there was a big bang and the universe expanded from a tiny grain into the size it is today. Like, what did it expand into? There cannot be. Because if there was something there that it expanded into, then we wouldn't need the universe, right? And if there is something out there that it expands into, what is it? So there is no such thing. It's all nothingness. Everything that's made out of matter is an illusion, doesn't exist. All right. Do you really remember where everyone is from? No. I remember probably 50%, but the rest it says here. On the comments, if you go and I guess you can see the comments too, most people say hello from Johannesburg, hello from Japan, hello from, you know, so this is where I see it. But many people I know, so I know where they are from. Sonia, okay, you're saying the mind and the subconscious are responsible. What about the soul and the spirit? All the information that we carry from our ancestors and other lifetimes in all realms. So to answer this question, I would suggest you watch the video where I show this whole concept as a metaphor with balloons. Because there I actually explain exactly what does it mean, this whole reincarnation and spirit and past lives and all that, and why certain people remember past lives. Because I don't think there is such a thing as a past life, but people remember a past life. So I explain all that, and I will post at the end of the video a link to that particular video. I don't know if, so if you watch it, you will see what my opinion is on that. Now, the soul and the spirit is actually your consciousness. It's the same, it's the name, you know, it's the different name for the same entity. Your consciousness is your soul, your spirit, anything you want to call, which is not material, okay? And the information you carry, just, you know, like I said, it's in the video there, but I'll just tell you the essence of it. The information we carry comes from the fact that we are connected to the collective consciousness, and everything that ever happened in this reality, in this dream, is registered. Everything. If I move my finger like this, it's registered. That's why, by the way, you can talk to the dead, because their energy is always there. You can actually reconstruct them, so to say. And because everything is registered, and because your soul, your consciousness is part of that collective consciousness, you have access to everything that ever happened, including what happened to you. So if you can tune out to that particular sector, like Vadim says, sector, right? Then you will think, you would believe that you actually accessed your past life. But all you accessed is the energy, the information of your past life, which is equivalent. Okay? Again, that's my subjective opinion. You know, I haven't been there, And I couldn't tell you that this is a fact. But that's how I see it. All right, Ash, if time permits, could you kindly briefly summarize reality unsurfing infinity paradox in your words? Well, there is no connection between reality transurfing and infinity paradox. And if I have to summarize it, no, the time is not permitting. I actually summarized the reality transurfing in 4 paragraphs, and that's my most popular video. You can go back and look at it. It says the reality transurfing in 4 paragraphs. It's a video I made 3 years ago or so. It actually got the highest count of views. I think it's coming close to 60,000, which for me here is very high. And infinity paradox, in my words, it's in that video. If you watch it, it's my words, and I explain what it means. Ronnie, just a tangent question. Is Genesis the true account of creation? It depends who you ask, right? It's, anything that we cannot prove, and we cannot prove that one, becomes a question of fate, right? So if you ask me, I think the Torah, including Genesis, is actually coming from a source which is not human. But the creation story I don't buy. I think this was inserted in there from some other mythology. I don't think that belongs to the Torah. But that's my opinion. I may be wrong. Because there is many cultures and many religions that have their own idea how this world was created. I'm sure that if you go to Buddhist or Hindu, they have a different story, so to say. And I am not the one to say which one is true. Because again, there is no proof. It's just what we believe. Your video yesterday, why do you think Trump ultimately lost 2020 even though he had no doubt, heart and mind unified? I'll give you an answer, maybe it's not very specific, but the universe is based on uncertainty. Nothing is certain. Nothing can be like, okay, so if you have no doubts, you will always succeed. It doesn't work like that. It's like in quantum physics. What they can tell you is the odds, the chances of a particle being there or being at this speed or so on. But nobody can actually say it's exactly here. This is why quantum physics is so weird, right? And our reality is based on that. So everything is, it cannot be predictable. So if you ask me personally, I'll give you an answer that, not everybody may accept or like, but I think that Trump was brought there to actually, for Israel. Because all he did through his whole period as president, his main focus was on Israel. He did tremendous stuff for Israel from Israel's perspective. And I think that there was no more for him to do. And that's why he was gone. So that's a different angle. You can look at it, and I will talk about it much more in future videos. How to overcome the subconscious programming? I really feel stuck. Well, I said that in my video. You cannot overcome. That programming is like the old records, the plastic bakelite, whatever records that we used to play with the needle, and it was a groove that was engraved with the music. So it's your subconscious. You cannot go and erase it. But what you can do is create a new groove, create new beliefs and experiences through either affirmations, speaking aloud to yourself, or through action, right? Because if you, for example, believe that jumping 10 feet gonna kill you, and this is what your subconscious knows because maybe when you were a kid, somebody jumped 10 feet from 10 feet high and they got killed. So your subconscious will now say to you, if you jump from 10 feet, you will get killed, and you would be stuck with that. It would be over the line at the top. Let's see if I have that line here. There you go, right? So the jumping from 10 feet would be here. Say jumping. It would be above the line. You wouldn't jump 10 feet. It would be in your subconscious. It's engraved. But if you went and you jumped from 10 feet, and nothing happened to you, and you did it 20 times, that thing would move here. You would say, well, you know what? It doesn't kill you. So that's the only way for you to get unstuck. You have to show your subconscious that those things are possible and move them under the line. That's the only way. And you don't have to do it by actually jumping. There's other ways but you have to prove it so that your subconscious believes it. So this is how you reprogram it. You cannot change the old program. It's there. But if you create a new program, it will ignore the old program. All right. So what do we have? Lee Frankly. Oh. If we are in the dream of imagination of the prime creator, are we going into another dream or imagination story of the mind of the creator success source to experience? Thank you. Thank you. I love when people say, I love you, Shlomo. This is what modifies the consciousness and creates a new body. Very powerful. So if we are in the dream imagination of the prime creator, are we going to another dream? That's a very good question, but I would assume that we don't need to go into another dream, because in a dream there's changes, right? It's just going to be like another dream, but really it's not. I don't think it really has any effect on us, whether it's a new dream. See, if it's a new dream, that means that we have to all die and then be recreated again. So maybe that's not a good idea. Because if the as you call it, the prime creator stops dreaming in order to start a new dream, then everything will disappear. Just like that, it will be nothing. We'll go back to nothingness, and then a new dream, right? Whether we will still be there, I don't know, because I think that we as a consciousness will still be there, because we are not part of the dream. You see, when you dream, you are not part of the dream. You are the observer. So that means, or if you experience virtual reality, say you put one of those masks, right? You are not in that virtual reality. You are an observer. So we are observers in this reality. We are not part of the dream. Yeah, keep that in mind. But the dream will change, yes. This reality will change. How it will change, I couldn't tell you. But we will still be there, because we are, like I said, we are eternal. Okay, Ed. Yes, Akashic Records. This is what I'm talking about. I forgot to mention that name, but yes. Why do you think Trump ultimately lost? Okay, we dealt with that one. Let me just go down. Well, the Akashic fields are actually part of the consciousness, because there is nothing else but consciousness. So you can imagine as consciousness being like a computer, right? So it's got a processing unit, central processing unit, CPU, and then it has memory. So everything that ever happened is in that memory, but that's part still of the computer, right? And you cannot really access it unless you access the CPU. Keep that in mind. And that's why, you cannot just go straight to that field. That's why people need to do lots of meditation and other spiritual work to be able to get into it. Okay, Lori. How to best to manifest patience? Just be patient. Well, the best way to manifest patience is to think about all the bad things that being impatient bring to you. Make a list. Sit down and make a list, and then read it aloud of all the well, I don't know how to define it any other way, all the bad experiences and bad things that are happening to you because you are not patient. Also make a list of people that are very successful that you know, and you realize that they are very patient. They think long term, not short term. Because something I learned, I think it was from Covey, can't remember, but he talks about the fact that usually what's urgent is not important. So when you have no patience, you deal with the urgent, but it's not important. So you don't have time to really think strategically and plan and achieve bigger goals long term. So if you make a list of all this downside of not being patient, you will show your subconscious. Then your subconscious will say, okay, you know what, let's be patient from now on. All right. So manifesting is really just changing the probability distribution of outcomes. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, that works. Is the obvious key you mentioned right in front of us the I amness? So it really is as easy as going to the post, selecting your choice, understand we are infinite and one. Well, it comes back to convincing your subconscious that this is the case. Because if he doesn't believe, we have that line. I'll just come back to it in a minute here. So like I showed in my video yesterday, we draw the line, which is our reality, but we don't actually draw it. What we do, we send the instruction somewhere else, and then it gets drawn for us by this. In this case, it would be the computer in that iPad, right? And the problem is that when we send that information, it has to go through this filter, this black box called subconscious. And if the subconscious doesn't believe that can be done, then it doesn't go through, and we don't send it to because whatever is sent is going to get realized. Like the universe, the programmer, they don't select. Whatever you choose with both your subconscious, he calls it heart, but your subconscious and your mind, and it passes it through that black box, then it will actually materialize, except things that are in the rules that are prohibited. Okay, there are certain things that are prohibited. You cannot manifest them, but everything else, yes. If you can convince your subconscious not to stop it in the black box. Okay, Dumonian. Why do you recommend the Magician Way? What it's about? Well, it's about really. It's reality transurfing in a totally different, with a totally different approach. It shows you why you cannot manifest certain things, why you cannot succeed, what blocks you, and it does it in a story of something that actually happens to the author. And I found it very powerful. Even though I read reality transurfing and I know relatively quite a bit about this topic, I thought the way that was presented was very powerful. I actually got very excited listening to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it to you. Okay? So it's really, why it's called the Magician's Way is because he shows you, he calls it magic. Right? It's like how to manifest stuff, and he calls it magic, how to make it happen. And it's a very practical way, because I'll give you an example. And I connected to that one right away because it happened to me. Like, he starts the book with talking about the author, Mark, his name in the book. He goes for a golf lesson with a pro. And people tell him, listen, this golf lesson is actually a life lesson. This person who is teaching there, I think is Steve, he teaches actually life, not golf. He teaches life through golf. And what this Steve is teaching him is because he's fully focused on the swing and how he's holding his back and how he's standing and where his head, what angle and all that. And he shoots and he always misses. And Steve says to Mark, he says, listen, don't focus on anything. Just focus on the target. Decide where you want it to shoot and just hit it. Don't look how you hit it, where you hit it. Don't worry about it. Just focus on the target. And when he succeeds doing that, he hits the target. And he says, wow. So all I have learned for the last 20 years, I paid like $100,000. It's all useless. And why I connected to it is because about 5 years ago, I came back from a trip abroad. I was in Israel, I think. And I went for a walk with my youngest son, Eric, on the seawall. And there was somebody built like something, they put those rocks balancing on top of each other. And we stopped there, and Eric threw some stones to hit it, and he missed. And I said, watch. And I'm not such a great thrower, but because I just came from the trip, I didn't really focus. I was totally like in a jet lag thing. I picked up a stone and I just threw it. I didn't even look, and I hit it. So what I learned from it has nothing to do with aiming or thinking. It's just when you are totally disconnected from it, it actually happens. And that's how this book is. So maybe expanded a little bit too much, but this is what the book is all about. And, it goes into other things besides golf. What was the way that you changed or reversed the thing that one upsetting you the point where you could not sleep? Well, I gave you all the tools in yesterday's video, basically. I'll tell you, I'll say it in a different way. And what it was potentially a very, very, I would say, dangerous, potentially illness with consequences, not just dying, but dying in a very bad way. Okay? That's why I said the heart thing, it was secondary for me. So, in the Kabbalah, which is a Jewish mysticism, one of the things they say there about interpreting dreams is whichever way you interpret the dream, this is how it's going to turn out. Okay, and I think there's also was it Ford that said, if you think that if you think that way or you think that way, you are right. Okay, so it's really, and what I learned is that when you have a problem, you have a bump somewhere or something, right? Whatever explanation you give it, this is what it will be. So what it means, you have to come up with an explanation for yourself, for your subconscious, that first of all makes sense. Like you cannot say, this is because of some flowers that I ate yesterday for lunch. So if you can come up with like most people, they jump and go to the internet and they find the worst case scenario, and this is it. This is what I think 99% of people do. When they have something, they look for, they go to on Google and they check it out. And of course, they show you the worst case scenario, and then this becomes your case. But if you instead you find I'll give you an example in my case, and somebody else gave me the solution. Somebody who I respect a lot, and I'm sure that she's listening right now, watching, is that she said to me, what it is some stem cells that got stuck in that area when you were a child, when you were born, they started to grow. And I accepted that explanation. And this is what it turned out to be. All right? So I hope that answers that question, how I do it. Again, this is, those things are, because the universe is uncertain, there is nothing fixed or black and white, but again, there's a probability which quantum physics is based on. So if you can change the probability, then your chances are much higher to be okay. Okay, so What do you think about manifesting superficial things like better looks, thicker hair, etc.? Well, that's your body. That's the material body. So, you know, I can only tell you it's possible, but I'm not going to get into how to do it. This is not I wouldn't have the time to do it here. But yes, that's possible because it's no different from healing. But keep in mind that there is some rules. So aging, for example, you cannot change because that's built into the program in such a way that is not programmable. This is like, in a computer, you have memory that you can program, and there's memory that you cannot program, where the operating system is running. So, for example, the fact that people can live up to 120 and not more is programmed in the system. You cannot change it. So, same goes for hair. The hair starts to get white and all that, or whatever. It's part of the program. This is how we age, and this is how we get to this 120. So, certain things you won't be able to change. And that's why we have to basically buy some color and do it that way. Okay, answered that one. So, what was the thing that you did that was okay? Why do you think a cessation of hostility is inevitable? And what will the first sign be that this period is started? Okay, let me give you a scenario, Mark, and I'm sure that all of you will enjoy it. Let's say that you are God, or you are the messenger of God, and you got the powers, and you want to fix the situation in the world today without disturbing too many people, like with minimum intervention, dealing only with few people, without creating like chaos and exploding this reality and all that. So I'll give you a scenario. Let's say that you get the power to cause people shortness of breath to the point where they die, if you so wish. You can do it remotely to anybody in the world. Okay, let's say that God gives you that power. And now God says, you know what, I want you to fix the world with that tool. So what I would do, I would take all the leaders of the world. There's 180 of them probably, whatever, how many nations there are. And I would start strangling them. And I would make them know that if they want to be able to breathe, they have to show up for a meeting next week or whatever in a particular place, in a boardroom, all of them. And I would tighten that until they really, really cannot breathe. They almost die. And you know what? In my opinion, they all show up because the only way they will open up their breathing would be moving toward in that direction. Okay? So now all of them are in this boardroom sitting in front of you, and you have that ability, right? And you tell them, listen, gentlemen, I want you to go back to your countries and take apart all the weapon, every weapon you have there, and I want you to change the budget as of tomorrow that not one penny goes for defense, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And if you don't do it, you will die tomorrow or the minute you decide not to do it, and we'll bring somebody else to do it. And if that somebody else doesn't do it, then we'll bring somebody else to do it. Okay? And all of you are going to do that. Okay? Now, gentlemen, get back to your private jets and go home. Okay? So here you didn't disturb anybody. You didn't deal with the 7 billion people. You dealt with 180 people, right? And just with one little tool that you received from the programmer. I'm just giving you a scenario. So things can change in many different ways. Okay? Because you see, if you remove that threat, because, practically speaking, I would say that in the high 90% of people, it doesn't matter what country, they don't want these conflicts. They don't want, if you ask the Russians, they don't want to fight with the US. They want to get an iPhone. They want to get whatever is made in the USA, right? Jeans. They don't want to fight with and if you go to the Americans, except some nutcases, there's lots of nutcases maybe, but nobody wants to go and fight the Russians. I mean, they don't have two heads or they look very different. They're the same type of people. So the conflict is created by interest groups. whether it's the defense industry, and because the world is driven by money, unfortunately today, right? The money comes from these people make lots of money. It's a vicious circle. They make tremendous amount of money producing these weapons, right? And then whoever wants to get elected has to has to give in to their lobby to get money to get elected. So we have this kind of a vicious circle, but it's all with very, very few people. So if you can cut those heads, you resolve the problem. Because like I said, 99% of people in the world are not going to go and fight each other. Do you think that the Americans will go on a cruise ship and sail to Russia with swords to fight the Russians? No. Or the Chinese or whatever, right? I know we have religions, we have things like this, but that will solve the religion issue too, because if that person comes and say, listen, I have this power and God sent me, then the religions, they fall apart, right? Anyway, just I think that you probably all enjoyed that. Have you ever studied computer science, computer architecture? You seem very technical. Someone, I'll tell you something that I don't tell too many people. My education is grade 8. I finished grade 8 in Israel and I went to work. I never went to school after, not courses, nothing. So everything I know, I taught myself. Like I never studied anything. No math, no science, no anything. I'm just my character. I'm very curious, and I went and I studied everything, even English. I never went to school. Like the English I speak is because I learned that here. I didn't learn English in school. So why am I technical? Because this is what I always loved. I was a radio AM when I was a kid. It always fascinated me, all these things, because it was magic for me, right? And I got into that. So, I was most of my life, I was in computers. I built cell phone systems in Canada. I did lots of stuff, all technical. So computers and technical stuff for me is what I love. But this is the truth. I never went to any kind of a school. It's funny, it says Dennis Ort. And Ort is actually the best professional school in Israel for electronics and stuff like that. I always wanted to go there, but I didn't have the high school to do it. I said that conflict is the driving force of creativity and that it will end in the future. Is that the only way possible? No, there's many ways possible. I just say the way, what I think, and I hope that, like I said in a recent video, I said that nobody really predicts anything. When you say something, you actually either make it happen or not, but you don't predict it. So I say lots of things in the hope that they will happen. And some things that I said did happen, so I have good experience with that. How to let go, drop importance? Well, yes. But drop importance is just words. It's not that simple to drop importance. You have to work on it on a deeper level. You cannot just drop importance, right? If I told you, drop importance of food, don't eat anymore. Well, it doesn't work. I need to eat. So how can I drop importance? So you have to work on it in a way that brings something more important. It's like I said, I think in one of the 1-minute videos that I did, is that if you want anybody wants to get off drugs or any other addiction, they have to find a better addiction that they like more. They cannot just get out of it just like that. Okay, maybe some individuals can. It's always there's always exceptions, but generally, if you want to get out of anything, you have to find something better. Otherwise it's not possible. And I'll give you an example from my life. Talking about importance, when I separated from my wife, it's like 30 some years ago, I was extremely jealous and who is she gonna go with? And I couldn't sleep at night. It drove me nuts. But as soon as I met somebody else, I couldn't care less. So I didn't drop importance, you see? But the importance disappeared. Why? Because I found something more important. So look in that direction. Don't try to drop importance. It's impossible. It's like living in a moment. How can you live in a moment? Jack. How is England, Jack? Making me realize things I was just thinking about before. Well, there you go. You know, great minds think alike. You're very welcome, Strawberry. Hello, Givka. I like the dog in the picture. Thank you. Well, that's a possibility, Manuela. That was a big experience for me. Yeah. Amani. Hi, Amani. Hi, friend. I use the list of method like writing small details every day in the future, and it worked miraculously. Why is it? Why is that, you think? Well, for the simple reason that that you basically instill that in your subconscious, and then when you asked for it, it went through the black box without any resistance from your subconscious, because you kind of slowly dripped it into your subconscious and you accepted it, right? I think that's how it works. I said there are no aliens, but even the Bible and Dead Sea Scrolls talks about them. The Bible doesn't talk about them, and Dead Sea Scrolls are actually the significant part of them is just the Torah, the Bible written, in through them, but there is nothing about aliens there. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Torah or the Bible has anything to do with aliens, unless you read somewhere else that they say that the Torah is saying that. But if you can find me something in the Bible that talk about aliens, I will change, instantly. Anything that I think of appears in minutes, it drives me crazy. Maybe you can rephrase that. I don't understand what it means. You mean that if you manifest something very quickly? Oh, I'm still on that iPad. I am sorry. I'm so focused on your comments here. I didn't realize I was talking with the with the iPad line still on. Then, well, I don't know. You have to tell me more. All right. Oh, there we go. It's just almost an hour. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And I will probably do maybe every other Sunday or something like this, because it's a good way to connect and to bring things up to date type thing, right? Because we can talk and I can answer questions. And I think it really works well. All right. So thank you all for coming here. And next time I will announce it earlier, the day before, not like today. But to be honest with you, I only decided last night that I'm going to do this video when I did the other video, whenever it was, sometimes yesterday. All right. Well, I'm sending you this unique energy to go into your consciousness and change your physical reality. It's a new year for us Jews, started a few days ago, and I hope it's going to be great for all of us. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon. I am going to be back, be active as I used to be. Take care.